40 years ago, Hampton Roads sat on a collision course with Hurricane Gloria. It was the first major storm to threaten the area in 6 years, and no one was taking any chances. 10 on Your Side looks back at this historic storm, how we covered it, what it left behind, and where it hit the hardest. Your host, Chief Meteorologist Emeritus Don Slater, who was here when Gloria hit. He shares his memories of the storm. This is Tracking the Tropics, Remembering Gloria.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the latest in our series of programs on hurricanes in Hampton Roads. This time around, we're focusing on a storm that hit the area 40 years ago. This September, that's Hurricane Gloria. The storm's history begins September 16th, 1985, as a tropical wave off the west coast of Africa. Gloria's trip from beginning to end lasted some 2 weeks and at its peak reached Category 4 status as it made its way across the Atlantic. Gloria passed north of the Caribbean, and that put it on a trajectory to threaten the East Coast. And it's the storm's northwest turn that made a lot of people nervous along the East Coast, including Hampton Roads and the Outer Banks. We begin 2 nights before Gloria's visit with our 11 o'clock newscast on Wednesday, September 25th, 1985.
Good evening, I'm Diana Morgan.
And I'm Terry Zahn. We are all keeping a close eye on Hurricane Gloria tonight.
Terry, she's out there and heading our way, but we still don't know if we're in any real danger. It's just too early to tell. Don Slater has been tracking the hurricane and has more on Gloria's strength and present location. Don?
I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is, Diana, that the storm has weakened a little bit. The bad news is that it's still heading in our direction and it's still a very dangerous hurricane. Let's go to it and have a look at what we've got. Again, Hurricane Gloria has weakened, but still a very, very dangerous storm. The latest position is 500 miles to the south-southeast of Cape Hatteras, and that storm is again moving toward the northwest at about 15 miles an hour.
Emergency services folks across Hampton Roads are warning residents not to delay preparing for the hurricane.
Get your valuables together right now. Think about what you want to take with you if you decide to leave, whether it's to shelter or whether it's out of the area.
Folks who live in low-risk areas, that's anywhere not on the ocean, the Chesapeake Bay, or the Elizabeth River, and those who plan to tough it out at home, here's some things to do. Stock up on food and batteries. Bring all yard furniture indoors. They could become flying objects. Bring your pets in and tape all your windows. Fill containers with water. And set your refrigerator on its maximum cold temperature. That way, if the power's lost, your food will stay cold longer. And use your phone only in emergencies. Stay downwind of the storm and away from windows.
At Earl's Supermarket in Portsmouth, shoppers were stocking up in anticipation of the storm's arrival. That turned a normally quiet Wednesday into a busy day.
We've been quite a bit busier this afternoon than we normally are. You know, people coming in buying spring water and asking about flashlights, batteries, you know, the normal type things. Foods that doesn't have to be cooked, all this type thing.
Earlier today, people all along the Outer Banks started boarding up their houses after a hurricane watch was issued. Many of the residents have seen other hurricanes come through, so they packed up their belongings and were ready to leave when the evacuation order finally came. Ed Hazelwood has been on the Outer Banks all day long and is on the phone now with an update on the situation there. Ed, we understand an evacuation has been ordered for at least 3 of the islands.
Diana, it has. Evacuations have been ordered for Portsmouth Island, Hatteras Island, and Ocracoke Island. Even the Coast Guard station on Ocracoke Island is going to be shut down with the last ferry going out. And at last report, there were only 10 to 15 people left on Ocracoke to still be evacuated.
By nightfall, most Atlantic Fleet ships were either underway or preparing to leave their docks. The fleet commander had placed the Norfolk Naval Base and Little Creek Amphibious Base on Condition 3 status. That means high winds are expected within 48 hours and more than 40 ships are leaving port to avoid the storm.
If we leave the ships at the piers, it causes potential damage not only to the piers but to the ships, the banging back and forth against the piers and the ships. So it's better to put them out at safe anchorages we have designated out in the Chesapeake Bay.
the hurricane watch area from Charleston, South Carolina, of course, all the way on up to Virginia Beach. Warnings may be issued tomorrow morning. Now, a warning means take precautions and, or evacuate. By 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, it looks like the National Hurricane Center will come out with specific warnings for your area.
As Gloria approached, we were able to get a better handle on what we could expect. Technology, just over the 5 years before this storm, allowed us to hone in on what we could expect. Let's check out the night before Gloria, Thursday, September 26th, 1985.
A state of emergency has been declared in Virginia, and barrier islands are being evacuated.
It was the night before Gloria, and all through the town, the streets were deserted and the hatches battened down. Good evening, everyone. I'm Terry Zahn.
And I'm Diana Morgan.
We're going to start tonight by trying to clear up a little bit of confusion. We reported earlier, as did many other media in the area, that the city of Portsmouth had ordered an evacuation of the entire city. We understand now that is not correct. We have a city spokesman with us in the studio, and we're going to try to correct this misunderstanding in just a moment. Diana?
Hurricane Gloria is still on the move tonight, and all across Hampton Roads, people are keeping an eye on the storm. The big question is, will it hit us? Don Slater is here with an update. Don, is it still heading our way?
Yes, Diana, it is still heading our way. Here's the latest position as of 9 p.m. tonight. That storm was still packing maximum winds of 130 miles an hour. There are the map coordinates. It was 140 miles to the south of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina.
Thank you, Don. As promised, we have a spokesman from the city of Portsmouth. Sylvia Kaiser from the police department joins us now. Thank you for coming over to try to clear up this confusion. Sylvia, as we reported earlier, we reported that the city of Portsmouth had ordered a citywide evacuation to emergency shelters. Tell us what the real facts are in this matter.
The real facts are we are not evacuating anyone. We are certainly encouraging people in the flood areas, such as the Old Town area. Let's see, we have Hatton Point, northeastern Churchland, and so forth, to go to a shelter, simply because it's an area prone to flooding, but we are not telling people to evacuate.
If it wasn't so warm, you'd swear tonight was Christmas Eve. That's how deserted the streets of Hampton Roads were. The downtown tunnel, packed with vehicles all afternoon, was practically empty tonight as local residents stayed home and kept their ears and eyes glued to television and radio updates on the hurricane. Home, though, for Sonny Higgins was his boat at the Holiday Marina in Portsmouth, and that's where he planned to ride out the storm.
In each of the Hampton Roads cities, emergency crews have staffed operations centers to monitor the storm's progress and to plan safety precautions. In Virginia Beach, this emergency operations center has been the scene of intense activity because of the city's proximity to the storm. Barbara Sierra has been there since early this morning, and she now has a live report. Barbara, I was with you there, of course, tonight at 6 o'clock. Can you tell me, have things changed much since then?
Well, actually, Terry, since you've left, a little bit has changed, but not much. Currently, the number of people who are in the shelters has changed. About 2,000 people when you left earlier this evening. Now there are about 3,800 people who are currently in the shelters, but when you consider the population of Virginia Beach, that's not very many. You'd be surprised to learn that as late as a few hours ago, there were still 5 families in the Sandbridge area. Police and fire department officials had to go out there and knock door to door to ask these people to leave.
Every 10 people leaving the oceanfront, there still seems to be at least one staying behind.
Yeah. Aren't you scared at all?
Nah.
Why not?
Nothing to be scared of until the storm comes.
And then what happened?
Gotta go in. Eventually, the stragglers or spectators were forced from the oceanfront by police, but that was only temporary.
By nightfall, the driving wind and rain picked up again, and the number of hurricane spectators increased.
Where I was raised, I've been through a lot worse than this one. Down in Louisiana, they came in a lot stronger than that when I was coming up.
So you're not worried at all?
I figure there's probably no place that I can go any safer than where I'm at right now. And the house I'm in is made out of brick. It looks pretty safe. A couple stories up, you know, we get some flooding, go upstairs.
For the few who've opted to stay at the oceanfront, tonight they say will either be fun or foolish. Either way, it will be a night they'll long remember. At the oceanfront, Byron Pitts, The Daily News.
They began arriving shortly after the shelter opened at 3 in the afternoon.
women mostly, bringing their children some blankets and diapers, uncertain of how long they'd be staying.
Okay, we can put the clothes over here for Warren.
Most of these women have husbands in the military who were either away or called away because of Gloria.
I'd like to get my kids home, but we can't go home, so, you know, I'd rather have my husband here where he could be to help.
Have you been through anything like this before?
Twice before in Key West.
So you're a veteran of it. Are you worried at all?
About this one? Oh, yeah, I'm very worried about her because she's a dangerous hurricane. She's packing power winds.
Are you worried tonight?
Yeah. This is my first hurricane. I've been through a couple of tornadoes, but the hurricane, I'm not quite sure what to expect. I left a cat at home. I'm worried about her. I'm worried about my house. I just want everything to go by smoothly and for us to get home.
Hurricane warning is in effect, obviously, for the entire region, and our winds are picking up, our barometric pressure is dropping off. The latest position from the National Hurricane Center out of Miami, Florida, as of 9 p.m., maximum winds were 130 miles an hour. There are the map coordinates. It was 140 miles south of Cape Hatteras. Now, we're going to have an updated picture for you on our radar in just a second, but first of all, we want to show you that it's moving northward at around 20 miles an hour, due northward, and is expected to hit North Carolina very, very shortly. Strike probabilities, obviously highest right about through here, and fairly high all the way on up into our area, and as it gets closer, our strike probabilities will get even higher.
It should be noted that unlike most television stations at the time, which went off the air after late night shows, we stayed on the air overnight to give updates on the storm. When we come back, the damage left behind by Gloria and how the storm threw us a bit of a curveball. And we were spared the brunt of the damage. See where Gloria hit the hardest when this special presentation of Tracking the Tropics continues. Welcome back. When Hurricane Gloria moved northward through Hatteras Island, a lot of people, including me, were worried that Hampton Roads cities could take a direct hit. And even with plenty of damage left behind along the Outer Banks and Hampton Roads, our region could have been hit a lot worse. Here's how we covered the aftermath of Hurricane Gloria on Friday, September 27th, 1985.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Terry Zahn.
And I'm Diana Morgan. It seems hard to believe that just 24 hours ago we were nervously awaiting the arrival of Hurricane Gloria.
Diana, it had been billed as one of the most dangerous hurricanes of the century, so people were more than just a little bit concerned. As we all know, it brushed Hampton Roads before doing more damage further north on Long Island.
Gloria is no longer much of a storm. It is only a tropical storm at this point. As a matter of fact, it is only packing maximum winds of around 40 miles an hour. Now, you remember that not that long ago, just a few hours ago, this morning, it was right along our coast, and once it got past our coast, it raced right on up the eastern seaboard. Here's a close-up view of the storm. Here's where the center of the storm is, moving north-northeastward at 40 miles an hour, and again, its maximum winds are actually right about 50 miles an hour, and the storm is breaking up very, very rapidly over land.
Tourists to the oceanfront now have an added attraction, a beachfront that resembles a lumberyard. Mangled wood posts cover the sand for more than a mile near 15th Street. I could see an equal amount of debris floating above the 15-foot waves. When Hurricane Gloria pushed in, more than half of the Virginia Beach Pier was washed away. Once a favorite fishing site, remnants of the original 780-foot pier now serve as an obstacle course for surfers.
Swell's unreal. Yeah? Perfect, yeah.
Surfers were a major attraction at the post-hurricane gathering. Hundreds of spectators covered the beach to see if Gloria was as awesome as the early billing. Most left disappointed.
I'd like to have more to take pictures of, but...
Aren't you glad it turned out okay?
Yeah, I did. I am. I'm glad.
Billed as the worst hurricane this decade, Gloria was actually a surfer's dream and a cleanup crew's nightmare. At the oceanfront, Byron Pitts, The Daily News.
The normally busy highways on the peninsula were strangely quiet in the early morning hours, for this was the morning of Hurricane Gloria.
Station 4 Buffalo Company, respond to a transformer on fire.
The quiet peninsula grew suddenly louder with the rapid-fire calls of transformers burning and downed wires. The estimated gusts of 50 miles per hour led traffic signals in an eerie ballet composed with wind and rain. Hampton weathered most of the storm. Power outages in the southern section of the city left streets darkened and obstacles hidden. City Hall lost power while planners in the nearby emergency center planned their next move in the meteorological chess game.
Frank, are you doing any barricading at all for areas that are underwater? Okay, just tell them no.
The storm ended before flooding could reach significant levels in flood-prone Buckrow Beach. Residents strolled the Chesapeake Bay shore in search of the major storm that eluded them.
I was nervous at first, and then when the winds came and nothing really got bad.
Windy, yes. Major storm damage, no. What had been billed on the peninsula as the storm of the century ended up being more akin to the storm of the month.
I was kind of disappointed. I know that's bad to say, but I was. I kept going to the front door and looking outside to see what was going on. It kind of fascinated me more than it scared me.
The beachfront was unscathed, but Gloria did leave a calling card. Hundreds of washed-up sponges from a storm needing little mopping up. In Hampton, Jim McClure, The Daily News.
Like a bad dream in the middle of the night, Hurricane Gloria is only a memory now in Hampton Roads. As a new day began, residents ventured out to see the aftermath. In Portsmouth, they saw spot damage throughout the city. Part of Old Town flooded, stalling cars and leaving a small park underwater. Portside's tourist season is history. Gloria blew the roof off the marketplace. In Parkview, the wind tore up a sidewalk and sent a tree toppling onto a house. A power line in the path of the fallen tree now lays across the street. A reminder that the damage is not completely over. Beatrice Hall and Adrian Fort live in the house. They were surprised to see the damage.
It would be safer for us to just call and let them know what's going on and just go ahead and leave. Yeah, and just go ahead and leave.
Across the street, neighbors were happy to come out of Gloria unhurt.
I woke up this morning, I peeked out the window, and I saw that tree over there. You know, I had to thank the Lord, because it could have knocked, it could have, you know, it could have took this house.
Officer Richard Honeycutt pulled a large billboard from the corner of Elm and King Streets just as traffic picked up in that area.
Oh, I need my coffee book. I pulled some limbs bigger than this with the car.
Portsmouth residents have much more cleaning up ahead of them, but the ones I talked with were happy that property damage and power outages are their only worries now. In Portsmouth, Patty Snell, The Daily News.
Sections of Ocean City were a mess today as workmen cleaned up after Hurricane Gloria. The storm paid its call just after dawn and just off the coast. Gloria's winds battered the resort city's boardwalk, ripping a 3-block-long section off its pilings and hurling some pieces nearly a block away. A set of wooden steps sat marooned as bulldozers scooped up sand blown off the beach onto side streets. Property damage was heavy. The front of this clothing store was demolished. 2 blocks north, more destruction. A hotel lounge and restaurant facing the raging surf took a direct hit. Glass shattered, chairs and tables broke in two. Last night, employees stacked sandbags in anticipation, but they did no good.
Things push them around like the bags are filled full of air.
Mark Sen stayed in the hotel last night while most other Ocean City residents were in shelters. He was brave to a point.
Up to 100 miles an hour, I could stay, but after that, I'm getting out of Dodge no matter what. This hotel can go down or whatever. I'm not sticking around.
Maryland's governor ordered National Guardsmen into Ocean City to protect against looting. It will take time to get sand out of hallways and streets and back on the beach, but people here are saying it could have been worse. By midday, the sun was out again in Ocean City, and Hurricane Gloria was long gone. She was now New York's problem, but she had left her mark here. In Ocean City, Maryland, Joel Rubin, The Daily News.
We had a real close call with the hurricane, real close call. If it would have shifted about 30, 40 miles to the west, we could have been in real big trouble. Let's get right to it. Gloria's gone, the weekend's here, and the weekend looks absolutely terrific. It looks nice and cool, high temperatures generally in the 70s, and this is going to be about our last look at Gloria. We want to show you the path that Gloria took this morning from Cape Hatteras on northward to where it made landfall, its final landfall at 5 Fire Island on Long Island in New York, and that was just afternoon sometime. Okay, at around 1:30 in the morning this morning, it moved. The eye of the storm moved across Cape Hatteras with very, very strong winds, and then it moved across along the Outer Banks about 12 miles offshore of Avon, and it started to shift a little bit to the northeast. That's when we decided we weren't going to take the brunt of the storm. It could have been the storm of the century. Between about 4 and 5 in the morning, that's when we really took the brunt of the storm. We had 92-mile-an-hour winds gusting to 104 miles an hour at the South Island of the Bay Bridge Tunnel, sustained winds of 67 miles an hour at the airport, at the National Weather Service, and then it moved on up the coast and made a real mess. Now here's a look at where it was as of 4 o'clock this morning. It was centered right off our coast, or actually off the North Carolina coast, and we'll look a little bit closer at it, and it was circulating like this. It was unusual. Normally hurricanes pull up moisture straight from the south. This one seemed to pull it up from the west of it, and thus we had the west to northwesterly winds that were very strong and probably saved us from a lot of flooding that we could have had if our winds would have been out of a more northeasterly direction, pulling water in off the ocean. There's no water to the west of it, so we didn't have as much flooding.
You just saw the damage from Gloria. Here's some of the stats from the storm here in Hampton Roads. Cape Hatteras measured steady winds of 75 miles an hour with gusts to 104 miles an hour, and total flooding, tidal flooding, of 4 to 7 feet when the storm made landfall there. The highest rain total in the region at 9.7 inches was in Edenton. Norfolk got nearly 6 inches. The highest storm surge for Hampton Roads was around 5 feet. That was thanks to Gloria hitting the area at low tide and being 45 miles off the Virginia coast. So we were on the good side of the storm, the western side of the storm. It did cause a lot of beach erosion on the Outer Banks, and one person died in North Carolina after being hit by a fallen tree. But Gloria wasn't done after it left us behind. After the break, the destruction to our north, and a look at Gloria's final numbers when we come back. After Hurricane Gloria passed by the Virginia coastline, it picked up speed and plowed into Long Island and southern New England the afternoon of September 27th. Damage was extensive, and millions of people lost power from New York to Maine. Some of those outages lasted more than a week. Parts of Canada were also affected by Gloria's wrath before the remnants of the storm took off for Western Europe. In all, Gloria caused 14 deaths during its 2-week span. Some 380,000 people were evacuated from the coastline from North Carolina to Connecticut, and more than $900 million in damage was left behind. Because of all of that, the name Gloria was retired in the spring of 1986. Of course, remembering Gloria, Floyd, Isabel, and others is a reminder that you need to be ready every hurricane season. Check out our first Tracking the Tropics special for tips on preparing for hurricane season, as well as information on how we forecast storms and a look at storm surge dangers and the effects of climate change on tropical systems. That program airs on occasion on WAVY Plus. You can also see it right now on the WAVY YouTube page. For all of us on the Super Doppler 10 weather team, I'm Don Slater. Thanks for watching.